Greetings and good evening. I'm Dawood Erfanian and welcome to our webinar on personal branding for legal professionals presented by Legal Talents Community of Legal Mart. As you may know, we are a platform for connecting viewers and clients all around the world, and Legal Talents Community is a platform for empowering legal professionals by providing diverse programs. Today, Mr. Nishant Hoskar, if I pronounce correctly, lawyer and entrepreneur specializing in branding and marketing for lawyers and law firms, is with us. He's also founder and chief strategist of ArtClick, which provides a strategic and data-driven marketing solution for lawyers, law firms, and legal tech companies worldwide. We have 45 minutes for the presentation and 15 minutes for our audience Q&A. Nishant, it is so nice to have you here with us. We are all ears.
All right. Thank you for the kind introduction, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on which part of world you are attending this webinar. Thank you again, everyone. And so before I begin, I would like to especially thank Legal Mart and ATI especially for coordinating this event and all the participants for this webinar. Okay, so I'm a lawyer turned marketer, and I've been in this space for almost 10 years. I have worked with more than 1,000 law firms and lawyers from different corners of the world. I happen to work also with World Health Organization from 2017 till 2019. And the whole journey of the marketing actually started from my own experience, in the sense I was the founder of a legal tech company, and it was very difficult to find an expert who understand the industry, who could help us to basically get the visibility online and to basically build a brand for our company. And that's how I learned. I started learning, and I got myself certified on the digital marketing, and now I've been doing it for almost a decade now. All right. So today's session is particularly for how we can develop our own brand. Okay, personal branding is about the branding. All right, as a legal professionals, how we can stand out from the competition, and what are the different strategies that we need to have in place. So the main agenda, we will be talking about the brand, specifically about the personal branding and how it is different from the branding of a corporate or a business. We will be also talking about brand promise, brand positioning, and performance. That are the main core elements of branding activities, and what are the different strategies for the branding that you could do, and different tools that are available to create a strong personal brand. All right, and what kind of skill set that you needed, and where you can seek out help to build your brand. All right, and then I will also talk about different step-by-step process for building your brand. It's a complete roadmap, step-by-step. All right, so I will be giving you the complete overview around personal branding, and very much specific to the legal industry, whether you are a lawyer, law students looking for new opportunities, or even a managing partner of a law firm, you will find it very helpful. So we all wonder, in a sense, that how somebody get recognized and regularly get media mentions, right? And how do they get on the popularity level? So it's all in the personal branding, because the way they have portrayed themselves, the different skill set that they have, and the different content and communication that they do using different mediums, right? So if we have to define what is a brand, so it can be simply said, it is a sound, experience, logo, design, people, communication, which actually helps you to differentiate one thing from another. Simply put, it is basically your reputation, how you are perceived by the marketplace, right? That is a brand, right? And so having a reputation is one thing, but also the important part is the visibility of your skill sets and experiences. So the stronger the reputation and the strong visibility ultimately lead to a strong brand. So if you really want to define and put it in a mathematical way, So reputation multiplied by visibility is equal to your brand. All right. So when we try to curtail our own, when we try to develop our own branding, personal branding particularly, you really need to be authentic. You cannot be inauthentic in the way saying like it's totally about your skill set and your experiences, right? And then communicating it to the target audience whom you really want to connect with for the professional reasons or for getting new opportunity or having to open a new career window for yourself. Okay. So it's very important that when you plan to build your authenticity, it needs to be very much clear, bold, and unique to differentiate yourself from the others. All right. So we will delve into that part and how we can basically understand and how you can basically identify these traits, identify your why, because generally, so in 2019, there was a book that came out and the author was Simon Sinek. The title of the book was Start with Why. Okay. So this book basically propagates the idea. It's a very interesting theory of golden circle. So it basically says that many of us know, many organizations and people know what we do. Okay. So it's basically the products and services that you sell. We know that. Okay. But there are few who knows about how do they do that. They have defined process, and that's how they are able to differentiate themselves from the competition. Okay. But there are very few organizations and people who really know their true calling, in the sense, what is their why, their belief system, their values, their passion, and the purpose, actually. So the great leader basically work inwards from the outwards. So it's very important. Many people think that we do because we want to make money. Making money is simply an outcome. Okay. So if you understand your why, the how and what becomes easy. So that was in Crux he propagated, and the same application of the application is relevant in the case of personal branding, whether you're planning to brand your organization, law firms, or even certain campaign that we do online. Right? So it's very important why we are doing it, then how and what becomes easier. If you would ask anybody, they can simply tell you that, okay, what they do. But sometimes it gets really difficult to get the answer for the why. The most of my clients, when they interact with me, when we work on the branding exercise, this is the toughest question they usually face, and they don't know that what would they say about themselves, right? So moving from here, so we will basically identifying your why is finding your superpower in a way. Once that part is clear, you can have every step of the way very much clear, and you can break it down easily, and it connects. Ultimately, everything is driven from there. People don't buy from you because you do what you say that you do, but they buy from you because you are very much clear about the why. The why factor is very, very important. All right. So moving towards we are very much familiar with the branding from the business point of view, business context, how the different products and services are kind of, branding is done. But when we talk about the personal branding, you don't have to segregate from your organizations. You can simultaneously do that. Okay. And it is totally possible to do that. In a sense, when you're building your personal brand, your organization you are working with, they can also be leveraged with the activity of personal branding, right? So in Crux, if we say, it's ultimately your skill set, your experiences, and how you communicate these things to your target audience. And that's how you can differentiate. The processes are more or less same, right? When we talk in the context of organization, it's more of a corporate and business focused, different products and offering that we do. When we talk about personal branding, it's more of your experiences, skill sets, and different offerings, the value, purpose, and passion that you are driven by, right? So moving from here, so we all are unique in our own way. the first step to basically identify that part and communicate it well, and to come up with our brand statement with which we really want people to know us, to identify us in a way, and how we can help them in a way, right? So how you can become your own brand? So there is an exercise in a way that you really need to ask what you are really good at, okay? And how people come to you for different seeking solution from your end, and how do they perceive you as an expert of certain field, okay? And you can distill from there and ultimately validate these points with the responses that you have received from your clients, your friends or mentors or teachers in a way. And from there, what you had perceived yourself as a different expertise or adjective that you had identified yourself, and ultimately you can validate it in the sense, and that's how you can find an area which is not only working for you, which is very much relevant for you, but there is a market for as well. You can sell those skills and experiences ultimately. So it's ultimately like, once you have identified your brand statements, it's all about connecting and communicating with the target audience. You really need to understand whom you are ultimately catering to. You need to have that customer or audience persona whom you are targeting with your services or product that you are offering, right? So moving from here, so we will talk about different benefits and the power of the brand. And as I also mentioned, we will also talk about the promise of the brand, positioning of the brand, and ultimately the performance part of the branding actually. Okay. So branding, personal branding basically helps you to distinguish yourself from the others, from the competitions. It opens the door for the different opportunities. Okay, it helps you in to get the kind of success that you're looking for. It ultimately helps you to increase the sales of the different products or services that you are offering to the target customers. All right. So again, just re-emphasizing the theme of this webinar, like anyone can do your job, but no one can be you. So it is from a legal drama, that is Suits. And it is a statement of Mr. Harvey Specter, who is also a lawyer. All right. So as I already mentioned, it helps you in creating new opportunities and career development. And these are the list of benefits that you can leverage once you work on your personal branding. And when you are building, when you are the face of your business, it gets more important than ever. It helps you to be to present yourself like a leader. It ultimately, because even media people look for expert in certain field. Once you have identified these expertise and skill sets and communicated it well, they will most likely reach out to you for the comments on the particular topic that they are covering, right, for the different mediums. And it ultimately helps you to get more number of clients down the line, and even the referrals from those clients, because you are able to communicate your value, purpose, and what you are ultimately offering to your target customers, clients, or audience. All right. So as I mentioned, so there are 3 pillars. It is also called 3 Ps of branding. That is promise, performance, positioning. So promise is basically what is your unique offering that you are providing to the market, to your target audience or the customers actually, right? It's not simply a tagline. It's more than that, okay? And basically positioning is basically how you will communicate your brand value or promise to the end users or the customers, and ultimately how you will deliver it, the performance part of it. So we can understand it with the same example of BMW brand that I have mentioned here. So as a brand, we understand, so BMW's tagline is the ultimate driving machine. And so that's the promise they mentioned. They basically emphasize on the quality, technology, and innovation part of building the ultimate machine that they talked about in their tagline. It's more than that. So how they are basically communicating that, how they are positioning themselves. So it is a basically high-end brand, okay, and they communicate it with their color patterns and consistently using everything or through their website or other mode of communication, whether it's print, online, or otherwise, okay. And it's it starts even before, as a customers, you're planning to basically become a customers, in the sense you interact with their brochures, their website, and it basically gives you sort of idea that at you know, the experience that we talk about and how it is kind of the whole process through that you go through. That is ultimately the performance part. Even if you have become the customers, how the service is ultimately being delivered to you. So these are the main crux of the performance aspect of a product or services. So these are basically, broadly speaking, are the 3 P's of developing a personal brand, or even for that matter, it's relevant from the brand point of view. Okay, so now we will be talking about different tools that can help you to create a strong brand and how you can accelerate this whole activity. We all want to be identified as an expert, or at least be knowledgeable of our field, okay? And so these things can only be possible in a sense when we communicate it with different sort of expertise. So these are the identified list of tools by a very known firm, which they have identified in their research, and that's how they have sequenced it in a way. So once you write a book, it ultimately gives you the leverage or become an expert in the field, the area that you are catering to, the services that you are providing, okay? Even and ultimately it helps in a way that if you have identified your niche area, that what you will be practicing. Suppose you are a personal injury lawyer, okay? And if you have written a book around that, right? It ultimately position yourself in the mind of your target audience as a knowledgeable person, and who can, you know, basically help them if there is any issue or challenges that they are facing. Then there comes the speaking engagement. Once you are on a podium, people identify you as an expert of a field in a way. So once you do the branding, it also helps you in a way, personal brand, it all helps you to get more and more opportunity. And speaking engagement is one of a tool that you can use to showcase your expertise in different platforms. Similarly, keynote addresses. And it is very important how you are communicating these things. These should be consistent with the other mode of communication that you use, whether it is your website, blog, articles, or even if you are communicating through email marketing. So this should reflect your value, belief, and purpose that you stand for. Okay. And that's all, because consistently when you do, and when it is consistent, it brings the trust. And unless and until there is a trust, then these leads or people who are interested in your product or services, they cannot be your customer ultimately. And with these sort of communication, you are able to forge the kind of trust that you would seek. Then there is another tool that is also called SEO. You don't have to be an expert in these things. As SEO, you can basically get the basic idea around that. SEO stands for search engine optimization, and ultimately helps you to get better visibility online. Okay. So whenever we search certain queries or do any sort of research, we ultimately see few websites or pages rank better than the others, right? So it's all because of all the algorithm that the search engine have in place. And SEO is one of the technique to utilize when you write for online platform, or even when you develop your website. It ultimately helps you rank better. So when we talk about SEO as having your personal as a tools for the personal branding, it's basically how you will identify the niche area, the keywords, and how you can optimize the different articles or blog posts that you are writing. You are publishing certain blogs on a YouTube or any other channel. So how you can optimize so that it is discovered by the people who would be usually interested in what you have already published. So then getting the publication opportunity. Generally, when we publish our blogs and content, whether it is LinkedIn, your website, or anywhere else, so these are very low barrier in the sense. But when you are able to publish or talk about certain relevant topics for your business expertise or services that you're offering in certain journals, newspaper, it gives you the kind of credibility in the sense. And you are basically identified or perceived as an expert of your field. So having that publication opportunity is also very important. And at the end, having your personal websites. So website is like they are promoting you 24/7, right? No matter what you do, even if you have personally met the client or person, okay, and if they ultimately plan to hire you, they would try to find your website or know more about you, whether it could be your LinkedIn profile or your personal websites. Okay, so these are the main top tools that could help you to basically accelerate the different activities around the personal branding, and you can leverage it. Moving from here, there are certain skill sets that is very, very important. As a lawyer, we always use a legalese, legal jargons. So generally to the target audience and the customers that you're planning to cater, it is not understood by them. It's very difficult. So when we do our writing for building our brand, it's important that it is understood by the common person. It's very pleasant to read. Even if you are not a good writer, you can have somebody who can help you with that. In the beginning, you could have, and you can start writing in simply in a plain English and like whatever language that you communicate ultimately. And these contents are being kind of found by your target audience. So it's very important skill set to have to develop the kind of personal branding. And then comes the public speaking. We all are kind of at different stage. When we get the stage to speak to, sometimes get hesitant, but with the practice and doing it constantly for a good number of times, you can also tackle that part. So blogging is a very significant aspect of developing your brand, and it's a very important skill set to have actually. And blogging and SEO go hand in hand in the sense, and it can be easily learned. You don't have to be master of the platform and how it is basically done. The basic things around that and how you publish content online, these can be easily learned. Basically, these contents should be scannable enough. You could break it down in a different headings, subheadings, so that when somebody is trying to find answer to their questions or the pain point, they could simply scan and get the idea, right? And SEO can basically help you, as I've already mentioned, to leverage these things when you're publishing or having a website online to get better visibility and help you ultimately to build a stronger brand online. So there is more to SEO, and that is called outreach to blogs. As we network in our regular world, even in online, it's just like getting votes from different platforms for the things or services that you provide. It's about getting the links from different platforms. When I mentioned about publication aspects, so they can provide the links to your website or profile where you are available, whether it is a LinkedIn or your personal website. So it's directly, indirectly getting vote from these websites, and ultimately it helps you to rank better on Google search or any search engine results actually in SRP page actually. And then comes the email marketing. When you create all these content and communicate with people, you really want to be in touch with them. Many people say that email marketing is dead. Please ignore that. And email is still effective because there is no barrier, even if we are living in a social media age. But these platforms are primarily controlled by the company it owns actually, you know. So once you're publishing these blogs, contents, or getting visibility or doing certain webinars, it's very important to create sort of email list, right, of the people who are interested in the things that you do. So you can later on reach out to them. You can add different kind of value by communicating the different kind of content that they would be interested in, which are around your service and offering. So these are the important 6 skill set that you need to have. You don't have to be an expert on that, but you can get the broad idea around things and get it. And even if you don't want to, you can basically seek help from somebody who can help you with that. Because getting people to read your content, view your videos is one part of the battle. Ultimately, you really want to be in touch with them. You want to be remembered for what you do. And obviously, this is very important that the target audience find value in what you are basically sharing with them. Right? Many, I have personally seen that many of these professionals come online and they treat the social media platform or these communication channels as a billboard, which is not like that. You have to basically provide value and answer those questions or the pain point that your target audience usually face. And that's how you can create a kind of useful content for them, which they can refer, and you can be in touch with them, and as and when there is a requirement, they would obviously reach out to you. And during this ongoing, so it is also said that whether it is online, email marketing, or any sort of communication you do, the 80% of your communication should be value driven and 20% should be promotional. Okay, so just balance it out in a way. So now moving towards like how you can, so more or less I have covered these steps, explaining every aspect of it. So first and foremost, it's important to have your, I have divided it into the 4 phases, and how you can basically first, and you can develop your strategy, identifying your superpower, what you are really good at. And from there, you can distill it further, whom you are basically catering to. Ultimately identifying your audience, right? And what is your angle to the things and the communication that you do. And from there, setting up your infrastructure. When we talk about the infrastructure, having your certifications, degree, and other inventory like your personal websites, okay? And once you have identified your why and how and created your brand statement, make sure that these things are consistent on all the different platforms that you are available on, whether it is social media, whether it is online platform, right? Or any other medium, even in the print that you communicate. So this should be consistent throughout. And having that, because the personal branding is basically a long-term ball game. It's a process. It's not an event. So it's very important that you iterate these things, what you have identified, based on the different response that you are getting. You have to keep on improving in these things. Okay. So it's a very much long-term ball game, but this is an exercise that you can start with. And from there, you will have to basically master certain skill sets to communicate your value constantly to your target audience or clients whom you really want to cater to, obviously. So when we talk about these things, it's also very important that I really want to mention here is that we all, like, there is a ethical aspect of communicating or advertising for legal professionals. So you take care, which is you should definitely take care of those parts as well, in the sense what is applicable to you and what is not allowed in the jurisdiction that you are working or the area that you are working on, right? And these are more technique of inbound marketing, where you basically generate interest and the lead through content marketing. So these things are pretty much very much clear, but still there are certain specific which could be relevant in your case. So just identify what you can discuss, what you can talk about, in your contents or video. So it's a very important to look into the ethical aspect of personal branding as well. All right. And so once you have all these aspects identified, you are ready to go ahead and you can launch these activities. In the beginning, it might sound a little bit overwhelming. So you can start with the content marketing aspect, and from there you can build up, right? So we will also walk you, I will also walk you through the different steps that are there, and then I can take up the questions and the different challenges that you are facing in personal branding or branding for your law firms or the organization that you are working for. So so it's very important to identify where you stand in the sense how you are communicating, what is your why, what exactly you're doing, whether and to identify from there and distill those things, get idea from your colleagues, mentor, teachers, and based on the way you have identified yourself as an expert, or how you will communicate your value proposition to the marketplace, whether it aligns well or not. Okay. And again, this is very important, that whom you will be catering to, what would be the demographic of the audience or the client that you're going to cater to, where they are, what is the kind of earning they have. Okay. So these things is also important to define your target audience, because it will ultimately help you to narrow down the communication part better, and you can target it well, and having your touch of all these communication to have that kind of angle, right? Again, then it comes to the different tools. You don't have to be on all the social media platforms. There are n number of platforms, but the important thing is, when you have identified your audience, you know that where they are more active. Speaking for the legal professional, particularly, LinkedIn could be really kind of the best platform you could be. Okay. And then Twitter, and then Instagram, and depending on the practice area that you have, and you can basically identify the social media platform accordingly. Okay. And moving from there, setting up the inventory. So creating your media kit, it's basically having your speaking sample or the different kind of photographs or bios that you could have in place. So as and when you are reached out to by these media people, you can directly share these things with them. You can even put it on your website as well, the personal website that you have, or your law firm website. So you can put it there as well. And then enhancing so once you have identified your why and having that brand messaging or the brand statement for yourselves, you can accordingly update your bio and have it consistently updated on your website as well, whether it is your law firm's website or even your personal website. Okay. To have that kind of expertise, it's very important. Like everybody talks about the blog, it's genuinely very important in the sense it helps you to showcase your expertise. So set up to do the blogging, identify the practice areas and different pain points that target customers or prospective clients face. Try to write helpful articles and content around that, and constantly share it in different mediums. That is very, very important. Setting up your conversion tool, as I mentioned, that email marketing is a very important aspect of developing your brand or marketing activities. When people are coming to your website or platform, you really want to be in touch with them. So email marketing and different conversion tool could help you to be in touch with your prospects. And basis the brand statement that you have developed, you can update your social media profiles. Okay, as you have updated your bio on your website, the same can be done on your social media profiles, and it should be consistent irrespective of which platform that you are in. All right. So these things might sound a little bit overwhelming to you right now, but once you begin and set up some time for that, there will be definitely certain learning curve. But with a proper plan, you can basically do that. Okay. And if you have any question around that, I would be more than happy to answer that. So moving from here, these things, many of you who have already done sort of any kind of marketing, probably you would understand these things in a broader sense. But it's those common things, when you do it uncommonly well, that would make a difference. And ultimately, it's all about the consistency. As I earlier mentioned, it's not an event, it's complete process. Okay. And you have to identify the time, resources that you have. And based on that, you can allocate these times and resources in doing these activities. And as and when you get the result, you can keep on improving and iterating these activities going forward. So in crux, if we say, again, it's a process, not an event. And definitely it's a hard work. Might sound very overwhelming in the beginning, but you can start with the smaller part. And if you see in the long term, the benefits are really immense. And creating great content is the key part of developing your personal brand. The secret part of personal branding is many of us know that, but we are not able to do it consistently, right? And many of people don't do it. For like when somebody is starting a business or doing something, some events are there, they would do that, and after that they stop, right? And when you communicate these things, always keep in mind your target customers or prospective client. We always talk about us, our awards, our team, our law firms. That is important, but rather try to be a guide. Okay, the hero should be your prospects or your client. And if you look like a helpful person, they will definitely come to you. And network with the industry people, and LinkedIn could be the best platform to do that. And it's also important to have a social proof of a mentor who you earlier worked with. You can get it on your LinkedIn, get a testimonial from your client. You can put up on your LinkedIn testimonial part, or even on your website to get the kind of validity. And ultimately, it's very important to be authentic yourself. You cannot promote something which you are not. Just be yourself, identify your why, and from there, create your brand statement and communicate it in a unique and authentic way. All right, so these were the main foundations and overview of a personal branding. And I would be happy to take up any question that you might have. And please let me know. So, yeah.
Yes, Mr. Nazarnejad, we're listening.
Well, hello, do you have my voice, Saya?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Well, hello, and first of all, I'd like to convey my sincere appreciations for your marvelous presentation, sir. And here are a couple of questions I have. First of all, it's about the schedules that we must have daily. Well, we put them down, we write them down, but sometimes due to unforeseeable actions, we cannot really do what we have to do on the schedules. This is the first question. What do we have to do to fix this problem in daily schedule and overcome it over a year? And the second question is that what are the daily skills you think a lawyer in petroleum industry must acquire and improve to become a world-class lawyer in petroleum industry? Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. So first question, I would like you to reiterate if you can.
Well, the first question, yes, sure. It's my habit to write schedules for doing daily work and weekly work, monthly work. But sometimes due to depressions, due to unforeseeable occasions that happen in life, you cannot overcome that. And then you lose the time, and then it becomes more in kind of a depression way. How can we overcome this problem to be concrete in the implementation of schedules, daily, monthly, and in the entire year?
Great question. All right. So regarding your first question, I'm not sure that many of you have read, but it's a very interesting book and one of my favorite. this book called Atomic Habit. It's about habit, but it's relevant for any professionals or even irrespective of their field actually. So the book is by James Clear. If you would like to note down, maybe I can share the link or something around that. So it basically talks about we all fall to the system, okay? It's the system that we have developed. There's no motivation or nothing. It doesn't last for a long time. So if you have created a system to write for 30 minutes every day on a particular time, or to identify your task for that matter, that, okay, this is the time allocated and this is the exact time and place and different tools that I will be using to do that, whether I'm writing on my diary or using any digital mediums to do that. So it's very important to identify the time, place, and the activity associated to that. And ultimately, it's also important that how you make it easy to happen, so you don't miss out on this. And there are definitely unforeseeable scenarios in every walks of life, but important thing is that you don't miss out from more than one day if it happens. But ultimately, it's all about inculcating that kind of habit, and you can tackle that part. It's not that difficult, and we all are in some sort of we always on phone or a laptop or system, or even when we are on our desk, we always have something we can make note of. So even like digitally you can make note of that, or maybe if you are taking it offline later on, you can collate these things at one place, right? So that is for the. Secondly, when we talk about the skill set, it's ultimately that I have already identified that generating content which are relevant to your target audience or prospect is very important, and in a quality content which are engaging, they find value, it's not difficult to read for them, and where they can find solution for their issues and challenges that they are facing. Okay, so once you come as a helpful guide, so marketing or branding is not about hype, it's all about help. If you can project yourself, can as a helpful professional, they would come to you. So when you are generating these sort of content and sharing widely, whether it is a social media, email marketing, on your blog, websites, okay, so just keep that whom you are ultimately catering, how would they find it, okay? Because the language as a professional that we use in many cases very difficult to understand for common man, okay? So these concepts or the ideas or the blogs should be written in a way that they can easily understand, share with others, and they find value in that in a way, okay? So that, and it has nothing to do with the industry specific things, as you mentioned, that how somebody can excel in, so these are the broad activities that anybody can use irrespective of their practice area. So if we go next further from here, so there is a activity in SEO or content marketing that is called keyword research. So keyword research is basically the modern research that you do, how people can find you in a way, what kind of question they are asking online. Anything we do or any question that we have or any sort of research, it all starts online through Google search, okay? So you would really like to know what kind of queries your target audience have. So these can be done. There are different tools and that you can utilize and identify those questions. And accordingly, you can, identify that, okay, on these number of keywords or topic I will be writing because this is relevant to the petroleum industry and these kind of questions they are asking. So the chances of getting better visibility for your effort or the content that you are generating, it would be higher, okay? And it's channelized in a very productive way. So you can know beforehand and what kind of traction that it will bring to you. And obviously there are certain specific steps. So once you will start doing it, it's not that difficult actually.
Most grateful, sir. You made my day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Nishan, we have two more questions. Mr. Bayat asked that if we don't have much knowledge problem, but we have communication problem with our audience, is there any way we can learn to be better at it?
We can, until okay, yeah, obviously, because see, we all can learn new things, and that's how we can better ourselves in a way. And and when we are living in an online age, there's hardly, it's not lack of resources, but lack of willingness to learn things. Okay, and it can be totally done, and no skill sets is wasted, and it's ultimately how you are driving those value, and ultimately what is the core purpose that you have. You are kind of adding value to that, then you learn new skills and ultimately benefit your profession or the activity that you do. All right. So one thing I also want to make clear, like if any one of you have any question or trying to figure it out, that how you can follow these processes, what are the activities. So I have a complete roadmap developed for that. Feel free to reach out to me and we can take it from there. Okay, and we can do these exercises and help you with that to identify your niche. And for some inspiration, you can see other professional, you can even see my profile on different platform, whether it's LinkedIn, a website, or even other platform. So everything that I talked about or mentioned, it will give you the fair idea around this. Okay, yes, please.
The question is, until we are not completely ready to start job in all aspects, we don't create the website or start the job.
Okay. See, ultimately, it's all about client. Okay. Okay. And it will give you, these are just a mode of communication. Once you have a client or a business, or so you are a professional. Actually, you have to, because website is not a prerequisite in that sense. Still, people have been reaching out to people in offline medium. People like interacting with people, following people. So ultimately, a website is not a prerequisite, but it ultimately helps you to enhance that. It's a kind of help you to communicate your value propositions, what you stand for, what you exactly do, and having a kind of online brochure of everything that you do or offering, right? So that is not the prerequisite, but once it is in place, because to start off, definitely it's not a prerequisite, but it's important in the longer run, in the sense when people are trying to search or find you online, they would definitely like to know more about you. They would definitely try to look at other platforms, whether it is LinkedIn, your website, or even certain directories. Platform like Legamart could be one of the spaces that they would end up coming, and they would see that how you are contributing to the community. Okay, what kind of value that you are adding, right? So these things you can do. And there are other platforms that you need to basically substantiate your profile with the social proof, actually the testimonial part, in the sense. And the platform like Google My Business, Facebook, these could be important places that you could have. There are different directories as well that you could have. And again, the LinkedIn is definitely there, where you can seek testimonials from the people you have worked earlier, your professor or colleague from the earlier organization. All right. Okay, what is the correct approach to convert a query into a business? All right. See, this is a very important aspect, actually. So marketing, branding, these are simply a tool. Ultimately, your expertise and skill set which matters. Okay, you cannot market or brand something which you are not. Again, that's the part I have always, be your authentic self. So it's very important. You need to be expert of the field what you say that you are, in a sense. Okay, so once you receive these kind of the customer query or client's query, it's very important to be helpful, listen to them, because This is a very kind of important aspect. Understand their requirement. If you can respond them or at that point of time, good. If you cannot, get back to them, do your own research, and be as specific as possible. But throughout these things, it should look like that you should be helpful and try to be a guide, okay, not a hero in the sense, because all the customers, we all are like kind of driven by our self-interest. The clients ultimately is coming to you or anybody else. It's the interest that this is the person can help them rightly with their requirement, okay. But if you as a professional can be that person who is very helpful and guiding them to finding the answer to their issue or helping them solve that pain point, so you could be the one. So it's not about the query or to have, ultimately it's all about the value creation, okay. Rest things follow. If they see value, if you believe that you have given that value to that query, to the question, to the pain point of your client, they will certainly convert in a business. All right, and there is more to it. And as we all know, soft skills are hard to acquire, and there are certain nitty-gritties around that. How do we do the discovery call and ultimately answer these queries, and what are the systems in place? But throughout, the important aspect is to be helpful in any way possible. All right.
Mr. Parole asked that should we hire a team for all these networking? Cause legal profession won't allow you much time to do this. How the new lawyer should cope with its cause, and they don't have much funds for networking.
Okay, interesting. All right, so okay, all right. See, let me give you my own example. Actually, I'm a first generation lawyer in my family. Okay, there was no lawyer before me in my family. I've studied from a prestigious school. The challenge here, the whole legal system is a very legacy based in the sense. Unless until you have a connections, professionals who are already in the industry, whom you can learn and work under the mentorship of those, and gradually you learn. But it gets really difficult in a sense. I had inclination towards technology, and for many like me who struggle to find that, in many times you won't get the opportunity also. In the beginning, at least, actually, it's very difficult to find the right mentors who can help you or guide you. So from there, I have made mission that I would help others, that how using different mediums. It doesn't mean that you don't need help of these experienced professionals in the field who can help you excel in that. But ultimately, you have control in your own hand. If you are able to inculcate those skill set to build your personal brand, you can communicate those values to effectively to your target audience. Okay, and these things are not expensive to do also. When you talk about marketing, networking, branding, this is ultimately about your willingness to do that. When you go on LinkedIn or interact with people or do these kind of activities, where you put up certain content or comment on certain news which are relevant to your industry, there's nothing. And that's how people see, interact with you. They would like to know more about what you are doing and how you can help, if it is kind of aligned with their requirement that you are doing actually. So I think it's not about the budget. Budget is definitely shouldn't be the constraint. It's all about the willingness. You can start small in the sense where you don't have to put in so much resources. Once you get a favorable result around that, you can double down on those activities that you're doing, whether it is social media marketing, email marketing, or anything else that you are doing.
We have another question in Q&A section. Someone anonymously, when can we start the job? When all the items are perfect?
Okay, all right. I think we have already answered this query, correct? I think we have answered it. With
In another language, yes, but someone else asked for the PowerPoint slides.
sure, we can. I will circulate that.
All right. So, Nishant, thanks for your informative.
Thank you.
Do you have my voice?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thanks for informative knowledge, and thanks for the audiences presenting here. Don't forget to follow us on social medias and ask any questions that you have in the future. And if you don't have any question, we're done here, I think.
All right. If anybody is interested in, you can find me on any social media platform and directly reach out to me through the website. I'm available on LinkedIn, and the username is same on every platform you would go. So it's Nishant Bhaskar, and you can connect with me as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for participating, and see you in the next webinar.